some arrows to represent the flow of energy in this food chain. Alright, Eileen, you want to draw an arrow? Come on up. Show us how you think the first arrow is going to show us. Thumbs up if you agree with Eileen. Thumbs up if you agree with her. All right. Micah, can you come draw the next arrow to show us how the energy is flowing in this food chain? All right, Micah, and then pick someone who's sitting nicely to draw the next arrow. Love it. Thank you, Gianni. All right, turn and talk about this food chain with your neighbor. What are you noticing? Where does the energy come from? Where does it start, and how does it flow through the food chain? All right, if you can hear me, clap 2 times. You can hear me, clap half. You can hear me, clap half. All right, so I was hearing people say that the energy starts with the sun, and the flower gets its energy by making its own food using the sunlight. And we've been talking about food chains and food webs. So we're going to start talking about what could happen when we remove an organism from that ecosystem. So we've been looking at this picture before. We've seen this picture before. If we removed the shark, how do you think that would impact this ecosystem? How do you think that would impact the food chain? Turn to talk with your neighbor. What are your thoughts? What would happen if we removed the shark? What would happen?
But then, also sharks no. So the ocean and then that affects us because it doesn't affect the fish like a little food, but it affects
That was a great way to explain it. Hands on top.
And the sharks is the big.
Hands on top.
Everybody stop.
Kylie said, if we remove the sharks, there would be too many fish in the sea. Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes? Why, Mateo? Why would there be so many fish now when we remove the shark?
Because there's no sharks.
What do you know about sharks? Do sharks eat fish?
Yes.
So without them there, Brianna, what's going to happen?
The sharks?
Without the sharks, if they eat the fish, what's going to happen to the fish? There's going to be so many of them because there's not an organism to eat them. And then they're going to take over, Mateo says, they're going to take over the ecosystem. You're right. So today, that's what we're going to explore. We're going to explore how changes in an environment can cause plants and animals to become scarce or rare, can even cause them to become extinct, which means they no longer exist at all. Or they can become overabundant, like you were just saying, where we have so many of them that they take over the ecosystem. We don't want that to happen. So some of the words that we're going to be talking about today are scarce, which means they're very rare. Something that you know of that's very rare. Ronnie, do you know of something that's very rare? Pink dolphins, right? That's something that's, what? A white shark, right? Like these are things that you might find like in a story. But they're very rare. They're not things that we would find in the real world. But sometimes creatures can become rare because of an imbalance in their ecosystem. Extinct, we know dinosaurs are extinct. They're no longer alive today. And overabundant, just like you were saying, having too many fish in the sea. Okay. So we're going to look at this ecosystem today, and we're going to remove one of the organisms, and we're going to see how that might impact the rest of the food web. Okay, so I want you to make a prediction right now. If we removed one of these organisms, which one do you think would have the biggest impact on the food web? I'm going to give you the chance to think about it. Think about it for a second. Think about it in your head, Santiago, and then you're going to have a chance to share. if we removed one of these organisms, which one do you think would have the biggest impact? All right, turn and talk to your neighbor.
Well, it could probably be like a nice probably not because there's no
What do you think, Ringo?
every single animal like but the python like the python.
All right, if you can hear me, clap 2 times. All right, I heard some really cool predictions about what people think might cause the biggest impact. Let's try to remove the butterfly from this ecosystem. Let's remove the butterfly and let's see what we think might happen. Okay, I'm going to redraw my food web to represent the removal of the butterfly from the ecosystem. All right, what's going to happen to the flowering plants and the lavenders if we remove the butterfly? Mateo, what's going to happen? They won't be pollinated? I love that. Santiago? What would happen to these plants?
Other people is so sick about the pollen, so it's going to sneeze all day long.
Oh my gosh, it's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow all day long. There's going to be nothing to eat. The flowering plants and the lavenders. Are they still going to be a part of the food web? Yeah, they're going to become so overgrown because there's nothing there to eat it. So I'm going to label my flowering plants and the lavender. I'm going to try my best to just draw. It doesn't have to be perfect. You think it's cute? Okay. But now I can't draw an arrow to show that the energy is flowing to the butterfly because there's no butterfly. What's going to happen to the mangoes? Do you think anything's going to change with the mangoes?
Yes.
You think something's going to change? Michael, what do you think will change?
Like, for example, the fruit fly might want some fruit and mango is kind of fruit. So if there's no mangoes, the fruit fly will eat the mango.
If I remove the mango, you're thinking about how that would affect the fruit fly. But if I remove the butterfly, I'm thinking the fruit fly would probably still be able to munch on those mangoes. So I'm going to leave the mangoes in the food web.
But without the butterflies, it wouldn't do its cycle because you know how it turns into like a caterpillar into a...
You're right. Without butterflies, we wouldn't have caterpillars either. That's a good point, Micah. All right, so I'm going to draw some mangoes here. All right, corn. If I remove the butterfly, is the grasshopper still going to eat corn? Yes. Still going to be a part of my food web, so I'm going to include the corn in my food web. And it's okay if my drawing isn't perfect. Okay, but now I don't have anything to draw the energy flowing from the flowering plant and the lavender. I can't draw it to the butterfly because there is no butterfly. We just removed the butterfly. So I could include the grasshopper. The grasshopper could remain in my ecosystem. And I can include what eats grasshoppers, but wait. What's going to happen if I remove the butterfly? Kiefer, if I remove the butterfly, what's going to happen to the frog? Gabrielle? The frog might not have enough food to eat. So I'm thinking the frogs could die. Yikes. And if the frogs die, what's going to happen to maybe the pythons? What do you think is going to happen to the pythons, Santiago, if the frogs die?
There is not going to have too many food. They will die.
They will die too.
No snakes, and so the eagles don't have any.
Oh my gosh. And if there's no
going to
snakes,
die.
then the eagle's going to die too. Do you see how all of these organisms are impacted
And the rats.
by